All right, hello again. So, this, as you can see before you, is what you would see if you just opened up my auto lockout set. So, I'm going to explain the pieces, parts, why I chose them, and then go through some of the stuff that's also hidden underneath the foam. So, this is also a kit that sees use on engagements in case we need to move things around or get in a thing. And very often, it's pretty easy to pose as a locksmith or tow truck driver, just trying to fish keys out of somebody's car. Or, any number of things, not to go too far into that. So, moving along, this is just my pin kit. So, that's just my backdrop, so to speak. So, we have this very telltale tool. Most people would know this on site. This is a Slim Jim, curved to grab linkage. So you shove this down along the outside of a window, and then this will grab a linkage, and the friction of it being bent will allow you to pull a vertical button up. It doesn't really work for other styles of locks, and they don't really use these anymore in favor of the next tool that I will show. So before I do that, I'm going to explain the other parts here. So wedges are basically as important as the tool that you're reaching in with, because you need to get decent operating space. The air wedge is what I start out with. I guess you can start out with them, just depending on the car. But you have to create enough gap for this to go in there. And I usually use this one. So it's got a long taper, and it's non-marring for the most part. So you can wedge it open, the corner of the door, and then this follows. And then you can kind of wedge it open further to get access with your long reach tools. And I don't like to always use long reach tools for the same reason that my mentor did not like to use Slim Jims, because it made him look like a tow truck driver and unskilled. But they've all got their use, and when you just knead in, so this will inflate and create a gap. So you can also use these on doors to force open latches, and they have a lot of other use. I use the HPCs because the quick release button, but ProLock makes a good one that doesn't really grab the same way, so it slides in easier on its own. Sorry if that was a little unclear. Just kind of improv in here, no script. So this is the handle to my long reach tool. This has all the backup stuff. So there's a flashlight with grabber buttons, so you can manipulate switches and buttons, the little batteries. There's a lasso to grab buttons as well. There's a magnetic tip in this one, which lets you kind of grab key rings. So most key rings, split rings, are of a magnetic material, and this will let you grab them and kind of snake them out the hole that the long reach tool is in. So that's nice. Another thing that I really like about this set is that they're modular, so you can adjust by snapping them together depending on which vehicle you need to open and also what purpose. So there's kind of it's many tools in one, and it means that it takes up a lot less space. So this standard long reach tool finger, so this will get you across big vehicles, F-350s and stuff that are very difficult to work with by virtue of just being enormous and not often having a place for you to stand. This will give you a very long reach for you to get into where you need to grab a linkage or the keys or what have you. So this is an extension. This just helps that go even further. That's pretty good. This is the threaded bit for you to thread onto the flashlight or the magnet or any of those other extensions. And this is a back curving tip to be able to grab things. I use this mostly on old Bukes and Oldsmobiles, stuff that had a button that was kind of off the beaten path, so to speak, and kind of harder to grab. And then furthermore, this handle also stores more of these rubberized tips, so keeps you from marring things up. You might be able to see the large wad of keys in the background. I'll explain those in a second. This is a very small long reach tool that I use for Hondas, specifically Honda Ridgelines that have a vertical button that's really close to where I would normally air wedge. So this snakes right in, grabs that button, pull up, get them in. Lockouts can be pretty darn good business, especially if you don't rip people off. A lot of people fall victim to the lockout scam artists who charge, 200 some odd bucks or whatever for a lockout, which is it's just a criminal price considering the lack of skill it takes to actually get a vehicle open once you have even a modicum of training. I've been asked about bump keys. I keep some in this kit, specifically SC4s. If I ever need bump keys, I just make them because I have blanks and I have originators. I don't keep them on hand because I don't find them particularly useful. I have almost always found an easier way into a lock that does not require me beating the absolute hell out of the face of it. Even with elastrator rings, you are not going to cleanly bump open a lock 9 times out of 10 without marring the plug of the lock, which means that you have to start worrying about beautification and people saying that you messed up their lock, because bumping does. You can definitely ruin a lock by bumping. I have done it, and it was money out of my pocket because I had to replace their lock. Key, it's their key. Labor, money, whatever. Bump keys are fun, and if you use them, because I've noticed a lot of people that like to buy these off of me are preppers, and they throw these in their bug out bag or whatever. But you know what? Almost always it would behoove you to just get good at picking, because bump keys, they're specific courier keyway. If you use sectional masters, then they're going to be thin, they're going to break, and you're not going to be able to pick open a lock if you break a key off in it. So I'm not a big fan of bump keys. I can use them, I have used them, and I have them. You can see them. I'll sell you some if you want them, but I will almost always say make sure you have lock picks first, and definitely try them first. Because, if you want to bump a lock, you usually have to have lubricant and stuff, so they're a bigger hassle than I think they're worth for John Everyman, so to speak. So they just kind of hang out in here in the event that I can actually use them. And then we're going to go over the big wad of keys that I've got back here. So what are these? What do they do? Why do I carry an enormous wad of keys in my lockout set? Well, most of these with the colored caps are RV master keys. Scarily enough, because for the most part they're just rolling apartments. Most RVs are master keyed to accept these keys, so RV parks and stuff will be able to get in there, change out a cylinder. Like I've got control keys and stuff for pulling out plugs. So I keep these because when I'm doing a lockout for RVs, and I've got a secondary set right here that helps me attack very specifically certain types of RVs. These are Trimark very specifically. So I got the Trimarks here because they're on almost all RVs. There are some South Co's and variation. CH751, very classic example. All the side compartments for RVs are almost always CH751. It's so much so that I started keeping a big batch of CH751 just on a hook, so I didn't have to sell originals or duplicate. I could just grab them off the wall after I kind of say, hey, did you know that there's a problem with that? And then these are additional side compartment keys, Southco keys. Old RVs, you'll recognize the Deco 1 and 2s. They're old side compartment stuff. And then the newer ones, the R001. This is part of my hooligan key ring. Got a few of these sprinkled all over the place. There's just another side compartment key. And throughout years of doing RV service, locksmithing, RVing, RV locksmithing. Gosh, I mix those two up. So, and then more Trimark master keys. This is an expansion and or duplicates in case I need to create a duplicate set. I've noticed some of the facilities that my security partners and I get hired to look at have RVs or some similar vehicle on them, and almost always these get a little try. Cyberlock makes master keys for the series of their locks, so I carry these to be able to open certain file cabinets. Moving along, I've got elevator keys, power supply keys, auto floor scrubbers, server cabinets, just lots of miscellaneous what have yous to get me into a place that I want to get into. More elevator keys. And yeah, see, R001, this is my duplicate variant. And then heavy equipment keys, which, and I have another big surface on here. So I've got luggage keys from back in the day, light switch keys, yeah, luggage keys, gumball machine keys, and then heavy equipment keys. Want to move Caterpillar? I got it. Want to turn the engine off? I got it. Want to open a Caterpillar padlock? I got it. John Deere tractor. You know, these are tryout keys. So Toyota forklift, got it. You know, I just forget exactly how many things that I've got on these things, but yeah. So I try to make this ring a catch-all solution for a lockout that my lockout kit here is not going to help me with. You know, people just leave out their bulldozers because they're like, oh, who's got the key? Well, yeah, I do. I've got them. So handcuff key, various other keys. So this wad of keys hangs out in my lockout set. That's its home. And then people say, well, you know, what else you got? This can't be everything, and it's not. I have I'll have this in a gun case because it just happens to fit everything. So I've got behind here, I've got more long reach tools. No long reach tools for this particular section. So this is a Nissan tool. L tools. These are like in the door tool opening assistance. The Sparrow's ripcord for opening garage doors. This has saved my butt a couple of times. And then some of these are for, they're all in the door tools, and they're specifically for different years, makes, and models. And I have a book that tells me what tool to use for year, makes, and models. So there's method to the madness here. So moving everything back up here. I hope everything's in frame, or at least frame enough for you to understand what's going on. And then underneath here, I'll just show you. There's more long reach tools. The under the door tool, a hotel kind of little give me privacy lock. This is just an override tool for those. I've got an S tool, as they are colloquially known. They're an in the door tool specifically for Ford or things with vertical button. Chrysler, Jeeps, and Dodges all have that kind of definitive knurled knobby up and down button that works for grabbing those inside the door. I've got backup wires for my under the door tool. I don't usually use the wire very much, but in the event that I do need them, I like to have backups because they're kind of flim-flammy for a steel cable. So, well, that's about it for this kit. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment them below. I'm going to try to cover more of my equipment. I've gotten a lot of interest, so I'm going to kind of roll through what I've got. And this is just the stuff that I've got at home. You know, I've got a lot more expansive stuff at work, but this is the stuff I just keep in kind of command on the day-to-day. So I hope you enjoyed this video. if you would like to see anything in particular, go ahead and let me know, and I will do my very best to accommodate and see if we can't keep this video chain rolling. So anyway, thank you for watching. Solid 15 minutes. It's not bad for a kit. Well, anyway, this is Rubber Band, and thanks for watching, guys.